This is Kevin from AppLand. I'm going to show how you can use AppLand to understand the back-end behavior of an application just by exercising the front end. So this example uses Discourse, which is a popular community software. And for this example, I'm going to play the role of a developer or an extension writer who's working with the login function. So I have a dev instance of Discourse here. And notice this little A icon up here, which is a browser extension. This is the AppLand browser extension. When I push the record button, it's going to start recording all the code behavior that happens in the Discourse backend as I use the front end. So I'm going to push the record button, log in, stop the record button, open the recording on AppLand, and be able to inspect the code flow and behavior of the backend. So let's start that. I'll push the login button, fill in my credentials. Discourse is logging me in, and it's going to load the default homepage view for a logged in user. So that concludes the flow that I wanted to record. I'll go up here to back to the AppLand browser extension, wait a second while it gathers the data from the backend, and then when I stop the recording, it's actually taking that recording data from the backend and exporting it over into AppLand, where I'll be able to inspect this. It's pretty big, over 1,200 events. But we should be able to work with that pretty well in the UI. If you haven't seen this before, this is the AppLand scenario view, which shows detailed code behavior flow through the recorded, what we call scenario, which is a single user interaction. So the first thing that happened in the backend was getting a CSRF token, and you can see the various function calls that made that happen in the backend. The next event is a post request to the session route. You can see my login parameter, password, second factor, controller, and action, and then the flow proceeds into the actual functions that handle the login in Discourse, including the session controller, which will create my session. It's going to look me up by, in this case, my username. It's going to check if my IP address should be blocked, which it wasn't, and then proceed to log me on. It looks like the key step where that's happening is insertion of a new auth token into the auth tokens table, as well as writing essentially an audit record that I've logged on. So there's a little bit more logic that happens here, rendering some data that's going to go back to the home page. Lots of queries to get my user badges and things like that. And if I continue down this path, I'm eventually going to find the redirect, which will open the home page, which is where there's a post login, which is going to redirect, as it says here, and redirect me back to the root URL of the app. So just by knowing what I wanted to do with the front end, I can get a very detailed picture of the back end, and this can be really helpful for developing plugins, for bug reports. If I see something go wrong, I can record this and send it to someone who's expert in that code, and they can see exactly what I did down to the parameters, down to the code flow. And that should be a lot better, debugging experience than just getting a ticket saying I tried this and it didn't work. I've provided them with a lot of information that they can use to try and fix the bug. So thanks for watching. Try this out. If you want to see more about how this works, you can go to AppLand documentation, and then this section here, visual debugging with AppLand, will take you through pretty much the same steps that I showed you here.